You're just a burden, Ethan. We carry you like dead weight." My sister said it loud enough for the whole family dinner to hear, and they all laughed. Their words burned like acid, but I stayed quiet, pretending not to care. They thought I was broke, jobless, useless. What they didn't know? Every single one of them was living off the money I secretly provided through a fake family sponsor they worshipped. If you've ever been underestimated or betrayed by your own people, this story is for you. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share, because what's coming next will blow your mind. My parents always treated me like the failure. My brother Jason flaunted his new Porsche, talking about his hard-earned success, which was funny, considering the down payment came from me. My older sister Rachel never missed a chance to humiliate me in front of guests. "Ethan still can't even afford a decent shirt," she joked last Christmas, pointing at the outfit she unknowingly paid for. None of them knew the truth. I created a multi-million-dollar tech platform under a company name they'd never recognize. To avoid drama, I'd set up a trust fund that wired money to my family through an anonymous angel investor who they called a blessing from God, the same God, apparently, who made me their punching bag. But it wasn't always like this. 2 years ago, I was actually struggling. I had nothing. Lived in a tiny studio apartment with broken heating. I built my company in silence, coding during the day, delivering food at night. They never offered help. They only watched me fall and laughed harder each time. And now? Now they wear designer clothes I paid for, live in houses I bought under fake corporations, celebrate birthdays funded by my silent hustle, and still, they spit on my name. But I didn't break, because I was planning something they'll never forget. Next time they gather for a family meeting, everything will change. They'll finally learn who's really been paying the bills. The next family meeting was called at my parents' house. Big, fancy, remodeled just last year. Jason arrived in his Porsche, parking it like a trophy right in front of the gate. Rachel walked in with designer heels and that smug look she always wore when she thought she was better than everyone. They all thought this meeting was about planning my dad's retirement party. But for me, it was time for truth. I sat quietly on the side, in the same old hoodie they loved to mock. "Ethan, why are you even here?" Rachel whispered, barely hiding her smirk. "This is for the adults in the family." I smiled. Let her talk. Mom brought out wine. Jason made a toast. To family, and to the mysterious investor who saved us all. I swear if I ever meet that man, I'll kiss his feet. Everyone laughed. I didn't. Instead, I stood up, slowly. My heart was racing, but my hands didn't shake. "I think you've already met him," I said calmly. The room went silent. "What?" my dad asked, confused. I took a breath, pulled a folder from my bag and tossed it on the table. "Bank, statements, wire transfers, property titles, all linked to companies you don't recognize, but I own every one of them." They just stared. "No," Jason scoffed. "You expect us to believe you paid for this house? For my Porsche?" "Page 4, I said. "Look at the signatures." He flipped through, his hands shaking, his face turned pale. My mom sat down, speechless. Rachel grabbed the documents, like she was trying to prove me wrong, but her expression changed as soon as she saw the corporate seals. "You were the investor?" she whispered. I looked at her. No. I was the backup plan for a family who never backed me. The room stayed frozen. Not one word. Just the sound of papers rustling and dreams shattering. But I wasn't done. Everything I gave stops tonight. And, just like that, their luxury lives collapsed in a single moment. Jason's wine glass slipped from his hand and shattered on the marble floor, but no one moved. It was like time had frozen. My father, always proud, always loud, suddenly looked small. He tried to speak, but nothing came out. My mom just stared at the documents like they were written in a foreign language. Rachel was the first to break the silence. You were watching us? Testing us? Why would you do that to your own family? I walked over to the window, looked out at the backyard they renovated with my money. Because when I had nothing, you gave me less than that. Not support. Not kindness. Just humiliation. Jason stood up, angry now. You could have told us. We would have... What? Stopped calling me a loser? I cut him off. Please. You all needed a hero investor. Because it felt better than admitting. I was smarter than you, richer than you, stronger than you. Rachel shook her head. You tricked us. No, I said. I protected myself. Because I knew what would happen the moment you found out the truth. You'd pretend to care. I reached into my bag again and dropped another folder on the table. That's the buyout agreement. Everything I ever funded, your house, your car, your fake real estate job, Rachel, is being transferred back to me, legally. You never read the contracts. You just signed them. Jason flipped the pages, panicking. This isn't fair. Neither was being laughed at while I was sleeping on floors and eating instant noodles. Mom finally stood, her voice shaking. Ethan, please. Don't do this. We're still your family. I turned to her, and for the first time in years, I didn't feel small anymore. Exactly. You're my family. And you taught me everything I needed to know about people. I walked to the door, then paused. Oh, and you might want to check the bank accounts. The payment stopped 5 minutes ago. And then I left. As the door closed behind me, I could already hear them scrambling, shouting, blaming each other, and for the first time ever, I didn't look back. 3 days later, my phone exploded with calls and messages. Jason called 13 times. Rachel left voicemails crying, actual crying. My mom sent long texts about how families stick together and how I was tearing us apart. But none of them said sorry. Not one. I didn't reply. Instead, I watched quietly as the dominoes began to fall. Jason's Porsche was repossessed. He'd missed the last 3 payments, assuming the angel investor would cover it like always. Rachel lost her luxury apartment when the rent bounced. Her influencer lifestyle crumbled overnight. Even my parents had to cancel my dad's big retirement party because their joint account? Empty. The chaos was beautiful. But the real explosion came when Rachel posted a tearful TikTok, pretending she was hacked by a fraudulent investor. The comments turned against her instantly. You lived off someone else's money and still treated your brother like dirt? One said. You had a millionaire in your family and bullied him? Said another. It went viral. Suddenly my name was everywhere, but not in shame, in respect. People started reaching out, investors, podcasts, even schools wanting me to speak about resilience. I declined them all. I didn't want fame. I wanted peace. Until one email caught my eye. It was from Unfold, a top tech firm that had rejected me 2 years ago. The same company where Jason once interned, only to brag later that they never take losers like you. Their subject line, we'd like to offer you a board seat. I laughed. Not because I needed them, but because of what I planned to do next. This wasn't just revenge anymore. It was legacy. I didn't respond to Unfold's offer immediately. I let them wait, just like I had waited years to be seen, to be heard, to be respected. But deep down, I already knew my answer. It wasn't about revenge anymore. It wasn't even about proving anything to my family. It was about turning pain into power, and not just for me. I accepted the offer. Not because I needed the seat, but because it gave me something far more valuable: influence. I walked into that first board meeting not as a rejected applicant, but as one of the youngest tech investors in the room. Jason once said, "I'd never belong in rooms like this." Now I was sitting at the head of the table, but my story didn't. Go quiet. After Rachel's viral video, journalists came digging. My identity as the ghost investor was exposed within days. The internet went wild. Headlines everywhere, from failure to fortune. The man who secretly funded his entire family's lifestyle. He let them mock him, then took everything back in one move. The world loved it. But my family, they were drowning. Rachel tried to rebuild her online brand, but no one trusted her anymore. Brands pulled out. Followers vanished. Jason took a job at a car dealership. Ironic, considering the Porsche he once showed off like a crown. My dad, he started driving for a delivery app to keep their home. My mom took up part-time work just to afford groceries. And yet, I didn't feel joy. Not exactly. Because what they lost wasn't just money. It was comfort, entitlement, control. And what I gained: clarity. One night, about 2 months later, I got a knock on my apartment door. It was Rachel. No makeup, no heels, just swollen eyes and shaking hands. "Ethan," she started, but her voice cracked. "I messed everything up. We all did. I know we don't deserve anything. But I just needed to say it." I waited. She continued. "You helped us when we didn't even ask. And instead of being thankful, we made you feel like nothing. I don't expect forgiveness. But I needed you to hear it from me." For a long time, I just stood there, staring at my sister, the same girl who once laughed when I couldn't pay for dinner. And finally I said, "Rachel, I didn't do all this to hurt you. I did it to survive you." She nodded, tears falling, and turned to leave. But just before she walked away, I added, "There's a nonprofit I'm starting. It'll help kids from families like ours. Kids who are laughed at, ignored, and pushed aside. If you're serious about change, come work with me." She turned back slowly, eyes wide. "Really?" she whispered. I nodded. "But no shortcuts. You'll start at the bottom, just like I did." She agreed. And for the first time, I believed her. In the end, the money wasn't the real victory, the silence was. The power to walk away. The peace that comes when you no longer need to be understood or accepted. I was the failure they mocked, the fool they forgot, the ghost they lived off. But now I was the foundation they never saw coming, and I wasn't done building.